All right. So, just wanted to do a short live stream tonight to talk about HB 2704. Now, I'm going to have Christina Thompson on with me Friday evening, if all goes as planned, to talk about HB 2704. She is from Show Me Can of Freedom. Now, a lot of people are focusing on the legalization of recreational marijuana, which is, all good. Don't have a problem with that. I wholeheartedly agree. I think, putting someone in jail for a plant is a little ridiculous. But, um, you know, the thing I want to focus on with this bill, honestly, is if you are a big Second Amendment supporter. Okay, so if you support the Second Amendment and you want as much as much freedom that you can get from your Second Amendment rights, your natural rights of self defense, you should be supporting this bill. And I'll give you the reason why. Because in here, in HB 2704, there's a couple things. Okay, I want to discuss a little bit about the legalization of recreational marijuana. But it will be pulled with this bill. It shall no longer be considered a controlled substance or a drug. It's very, very important. But here's the one thing that I want people to understand, and that is the fact that if this bill goes through, what also happens is no state agency, including employees therein, shall disclose to the federal government any federal government employee or any unauthorized third party the statewide list or any individual information of persons who have applied for or obtained a qualifying patient identification card, a qualifying patient cultivation identifying card, or a primary caregiver identification card, as those cards are described in Article 14, Section 1 of the Constitution of America, or Missouri, relating to the right to access medical marijuana. So, hey, Voodoo Queen, how are we doing tonight? So, this is very important for one reason. That reason is if you go to the gun store to buy a firearm, that question's no longer. It's no more. So, because the feds have a law stating that if you have a medical marijuana card, you are not to possess firearms. So, if you go to the gun store and you don't falsify the little application, says, do you have a medical marijuana card? If you say yes, it's going to kick it out. You're not supposed to be able to buy a firearm from a gun store if you have a medical marijuana card. Well, that's going to eliminate this. This is the beautiful thing about it. That's going to eliminate this whole thing. That now, if you have a medical marijuana card now, or you get one in the future, the feds will literally not know that that information when you go to purchase a firearm. This is very, 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 very important for our gun rights in the state of Missouri. And I'll tell you something. If it's common sense, if someone is using medical marijuana for maybe they have a chronic illness or they have a chronic pain issue, do you think that they're going to get high or use, not even say getting high, but do you think they're actually going to go out and shoot someone because they use marijuana? Because that is the most ridiculous thing that you could say. And it is ridiculous that the feds have treated this in this manner, that they've treated it this way. Well, and it's because it's a Schedule I drug. Well, this bill will eliminate that. It will no longer be a Schedule I drug because it won't be listed in the schedule at all. Now, they like to call marijuana a gateway drug. That's also false because of the simple fact that they've lied to people for so long on about marijuana being Schedule I. They make it sound like, oh, well, And people try marijuana and they're like, well, I'm not having any problems. I'm not addicted. I don't have any weight loss. I'm not, losing my hair. I don't look like some circus freak. I'm just, either getting high or using it for medicinal purposes, which most people use it for a medicinal purpose, and that is to relax, to reduce anxiety or depression or a myriad of other things. So almost everyone uses it for a medicinal purpose. And so, it's not going to, and that's the thing. These people, kids try it and they're like, well, I'm not having any issues. And they think, well, they lied to me about this. What else are they lying about? And so they may try harder drugs. So this system that's been set up by the federal government as far as scheduling, and the states, as far as scheduling marijuana, they have initially caused the issue. They have caused the problem. Now, that's not just the feds, that's lobbyists. I mean, the cotton industry is involved with the hemp. And alcohol and tobacco are big lobbyists for the DARE program and the drug prohibition in this country. You can follow the money back to alcohol and tobacco. They lobby big to keep marijuana illegal, along with other drugs. Alcohol sales will take a hit if someone can buy marijuana instead of buying alcohol. Now, alcohol is going to be cheaper, but, would you rather have a hangover in the morning or not a hangover? Would you want to be angry or crying like sloppy drunk, or do you want to just relax, take the edge off, get a good night's sleep, relieve your pain, things like that, without damaging your liver and messing up your brain with alcohol? You could just use marijuana. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But to me, the important thing is the important thing here is that I want to see. It's something I've been talking about for years. I want to see marijuana, the recreational marijuana, legalized in the state of Missouri. But now that we have concealed carry laws and the feds have said, well, if you have marijuana, if you have a medical card, you can't own a firearm. Now that that's done. That's a beautiful thing. That will be over with. But here's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. You have got to call your state reps and tell them that you want this bill pushed through. I went to the rally yesterday, which had been Tuesday, the 29th, and got to speak to Representative Hicks. And the one question I asked him, because he was very busy, he was trying to get around, talk to everyone about the bill. And Epen, who is up there, works up at the Capitol, pulled him aside. And I said, my listeners want to know about, not disclosing your information to any federal agency or unauthorized third party. Does that mean that question, when you're filling out the FFL paperwork at the store, when you're buying a firearm, is that omitted now? He said, yes, absolutely. And he said, I can't stand the feds. They need to stay out of this. And I'm like, I'm sold. And this is a twofold thing. Again, not only could we legalize recreational marijuana here in the state of Missouri, and Voodoo Queen says, biggest side effect is empty chip bags in a house. That's absolutely correct. But not only are we legalizing recreational marijuana, but we are also solidifying our gun rights here in the state of Missouri. As far as if you have a medical card, if this passes and gets signed by the governor, then you can buy a firearm at the store and not be discriminated against because you're using something for pain or a chronic illness, which is hilarious because they'll give you opioids and let you have a firearm. They'll let you go to the store and buy all the alcohol you want. You can have a firearm then, but don't you dare be one of those weed snorters and think you can buy a firearm. It's completely and absolutely asinine. But it is the way the feds work because of the scheduling of the drug. And they're not going to admit. Sure, they bring bills up all the time and say, oh, we're thinking about just legalizing marijuana across the board. It never happens. They do it about every 2 years. It never goes anywhere. So, and on top of that, something else that was mentioned by Representative Hicks if this passes, just like our SAPA law, just like our Second Amendment Preservation Act, we will be the first state in the country with this kind of law. Now, we've set the precedent with SAPA, and this is something we can build upon. Again, because of the inability for state employees to share that medical marijuana information to any federal agency, employee, whatever. For those being able, for that being in there. Now we're building upon our Second Amendment rights and the protections therein. Very, very important. This is very, very important that we get this through. So I really wanted to talk about that bill. I just wanted to, I won't be on here very long. I just wanted to do a quick live stream, let everybody know what I saw and heard at the time I got to spend at the Capitol yesterday. And then I had to go do a photo shoot. So I got to go in there for a couple hours. I got to see John Grady there. It's good to run into him. Got to talk to him for a while. He listens to my live stream every week, and I finally get to see the guy face to face. Maybe Voodoo Queen. She's been coming in every week. Maybe one of these days I'll get to have a face-to-face with her, too. That'd be great. And then Casey Pemberton, who I interviewed a couple weeks ago. He works at the state capitol. I got to visit with him for a while. We had good conversation. So it was great. And then getting to hear Representative Hicks, Tony Lavasco got up and said some things. Representative Manlove spoke on it. So this is like a bipartisan type of bill. Some of it, some people are fighting for criminal justice reform as far as throwing someone in prison for having a plant. And some people are fighting for it because, they just think it's ridiculous that marijuana is illegal in the first place. It should just be legalized. It's not a harmful drug. And then I'm for those two things, plus the Second Amendment side of it too. That's what I want to see as far as the Second Amendment goes, that now if you get a medical marijuana card or you've had one, you go to buy a firearm, the feds won't know. And so that just protects your ability to buy a firearm at a store instead of having to do, just buying from a person. You see a gun in the store, now you can just go buy it. No worries about, we can't give it to you. You got a medical marijuana card. That will go away. But again, I urge everyone, if you know people that will call a state rep, their state rep, and push this through, please do so. Very, very, very important that we do this. Also, I'm not going to talk too much about this because Patrick Holland and Casey Rich and Liberty Revolutionary, I believe his name is Caleb, from the Missouri Freedom Initiative, they're more, they have much more knowledge of this bill, and they've been really pushing this. But I also want to mention House Bill 2118, which is basically the Stand Your Ground Enhancement Act. Also, call your state reps on this one. Ask for it to be pushed through. Start hitting up Dean Plocher, who is the House Majority Leader. If you go to, let me make sure I get this. It should be House. Yes, that's it. House.mo.gov, and look up Dean Plocher, which is Plocher. Look up his information. You can get his email address and his phone number. Call his office, and we need to put the pressure on. We want that 2118 on the floor for a vote, get it moved to the Senate, and then we'll begin work in the Senate to get that bill pushed in as well. But the Stand Your Ground Enhancement Act, right now, if you were to act in self-defense on your property, there's a jury trial. You have to inject self-defense into your defense. And if this law goes through, what happens is hey, Gunny, hello from Columbia. How you doing, buddy? If 2118 gets through and passes, instead of it being a jury trial, you will stand in front of a judge and they have to disprove self-defense. So what you're doing, in fact, with this bill, with House Bill 2118, what you're doing is you're upholding the whole thing our criminal justice system is supposed to be based on, innocent until proven guilty. Right now, in self-defense, you're guilty until proven innocent. You have to inject self-defense into your trial. This flips it 180. Now you're innocent until proven guilty. Now they have to prove that it wasn't self-defense. So it's very, very, very important that 2704, which is the Cannabis Freedom Act, also protects your Second Amendment rights as far as when you go to purchase a firearm. The information that you are a medical marijuana card holder cannot be passed to any state agency, employee, or an unauthorized third party. Very, 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 very important. Jonathan Ashley, good to see you in here tonight as well. So I just, again, a brief live stream. I wanted to draw attention to draw people's attention to these two bills. Like I said, House Bill 2704, which is the Cannabis Freedom Act, and House Bill 2118, which is the Stand Your Ground Enhancement Act. That's kind of the term they're going with. But again, it puts the burden on others to prove your guilt instead of you having to prove your innocence in a jury trial. And then we all, I'm sure anybody watching this agrees that the war on drugs is a failed war and that nobody should have their life ruined for possessing a plant. Again, the one thing that drives me nuts is we have a lot of politicians who like to say that they think people should have a second chance. But if you put someone in jail for a crime like that, when they get out, they're not going to get a second chance of life. No, people are not going to hire them if they have a drug offense on their record. So there is no second chances with that, especially if it's a 10-year term. People aren't they're not having employers like, yeah, come on in. No, there's going to be some discrimination there. They're not going to want to hire a former what would be a felon. So it's not right for somebody to possess a plant and then be thrown in a cage for years, and then they get to pretend like, well, see, we let you out. Now you gotta go out there and prove yourself. Well, how are you going to get a job? A good job. Gunny says, let's not forget House Bill 1992. That's right. No sales tax on food. Let me see if I can bring up. I can't get away from that bill. What? Okay, let me pull my web browser back up. Let me pull that. Let's see. 1992. Let me pull up the text on this. Now, this is all the way. Okay, it's placed on the informal perfection calendar. There was 10 ayes and 0 noes to the. So let's see the bill. I'm not interested in the survey. There shall be no tax levied imposed under this chapter. For the purposes of this section, the term food shall include. Okay, blah 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 blah. Except for vending machine sales, the term food shall not include food or drink sold by any establishment where the gross receipts derived from the sale of food prepared by such establishment for immediate consumption or on or off the premises. Oh, so basically restaurants won't get this. So basically what they're doing is they are no taxes on groceries is basically what I'm seeing. It says, for this purpose, okay, the term food shall include only those products and types of food for which food stamps may be redeemed pursuant to the provisions of the Federal Food Stamp Program, as that section now reads, or as it may be amended hereafter, and shall include food dispensed by or through vending machines. Okay, so basically, if you go to the grocery store and you buy food, anything, the way I'm reading it, anything you can buy with food stamps will be non-taxable for edible foods from grocery stores only. Okay, thank you, Voodoo Queen. And Gunny, thanks for bringing that up. And yeah, Jonathan, we got to back that one too. Absolutely, we've got to back. So there's another one, House Bill 1992. See, I'm glad you guys jumped in because I would have completely forgot about that when I did see Patrick and Caleb talking about that the other night. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I interviewed Patrick a couple weeks ago, he told me that, New Hampshire has the Free State Project. And he said in 2 years we could be more free than New Hampshire without what. See, New Hampshire's like a. Yeah, we talked. Okay, yeah, he talked about it the other night. New Hampshire, they're like a. They're like a pro team. They like to recruit. They're like a college football team. They're recruiting from outside the state. We're doing this all here in Missouri. People in Missouri are doing this. We're doing this without having to bring people from other states in to do this. So that's what's the best part. That's the best part of this, is that we, the people here in Missouri, are trying to make our state more free, and we are pushing hard. So if we can decriminalize, legalize recreational marijuana, and add statutes protecting you when you purchase a firearm, if we can change the stand your ground to where now you're actually innocent until proven guilty, and then we can say no taxes on groceries. People, step by step, everything's baby steps, right? Everything's baby steps. We got to do it one step at a time. Just years ago when I talked about, before we had medical marijuana, and I had people saying, well, we just need to decriminalize it. And I said, it's going to be baby steps. Eventually we'll get medical, and then it goes to recreational. Almost every state does that has it. They go for medical, and then they go for recreational. I have no problem with that as long as we are taking the steps to become more free. And also in 2704 it talks about expungement. So that is also a great thing. If we can expunge the records of all those who with nonviolent marijuana offenses. Another positive step in pushing for more freedom for more people in the state of Missouri. So there's some things that we are doing, that we're working hard on here in the state. I shouldn't say we. I'm not. People in groups are working on. Some reps are working on. And those those two different parties of people working together. I'm new to this, so but we are working on that. And Gunny makes a good point. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can. Let's see. It'll be the ballot. Oh, you probably hear my keyboard just type. My desk is awful, so I'm sorry if you hear all the clacking of the keyboard. But we have several House joint resolutions. We've got Senate joint resolutions, and it's going to make it way harder to get petition initiatives and things done here in the state. The numbers go way up. Instead of, correct me if I'm wrong, Gunny, because I get my numbers mixed up all the time. Instead of 7%, it goes to 15%. So that's a giant increase of numbers of signatures and votes needed to change now the Constitution or anything like that. Now, what they're saying, some people are out there saying it's too easy to change the Constitution right now. But there are a lot of people that believe, like myself, that they are just doing this because it threatens their power. It's too easy for us to change it and take the power away from them, and they don't like that. Now, they're basing this on the premise, well, all these lefties could come in and change the Constitution and do all, and we don't want the lefties to do it. Listen, sure, there's a lot of lefties in the state of Missouri, but you have to go to pretty much like Kansas City, Columbia, and St. Louis to find them. The rest of the state is pretty much a red state. They're more conservative. And I think it's a horrible excuse to do what they're doing. I really do. I think it's a stupid excuse to do what they're doing right now. And talking about New Hampshire earlier, yeah, Jonathan, you're right. I'm hearing numbers, the price of houses because all these people, the influx of people. Yes, their housing prices are retardedly high, just retarded how high the prices on houses are, and that's literally going to start slowing their growth down. Is what's going to happen. The growth of that state is going to happen because if you don't have a place to live, you can't buy a house. Where and the rental property, the amount of rental property is not there. Where are you going to live? You're going to live out of state and drive to New Hampshire every day to enjoy freedom? No. So we've got them there because even though I continually see an increase of housing prices here in Missouri, it ain't near what it is in New Hampshire. So that's a plus. Yeah, Gunny says the George Soroses of the world. That's exactly right. That's who they want us to be scared of, which you should be scared of the George Soroses of the world. You should be frightened of those because those people are circus freaks and they want to rule the world. It is not a reason to make it harder for us to amend or change our Constitution in the state of Missouri. This is one of those things where they're painting with a broad brush and they're punishing the many because of the few. And that's behavior that has to stop. Government loves to do that. Government loves to punish the many for the deeds of the few. And paint with a broad brush, and it's ridiculous behavior, and it's something that we have to stop. I mean, if we're going to base, if government's going to base their actions on that mentality, we should also do the same thing because there's only 200 of them in the state house, and there's a few million in the state of Missouri, and we're being punished because of their actions. It's the same thing. Should we and if we're going to hold that mentality true, then we should start punishing them for their deeds. If they're not going to help pass House Bill 2704, 2118, 1992, and if they're not going to if they're going to try to push this ballot initiative crap through, then we should punish them. They should lose their jobs. Playtime's over, folks. We see what Biden's administration has done, continues to do. We've seen what Trump's administration did. We've seen what the administrations do prior to those. It's a perpetual thing. Government keeps growing. There's more rules and regulations all the time. They're devaluing the currency. They're ruining our lives, and they're ruining the livelihoods of a lot of people. And it's high time that we get our state in order. We elect people who are responsible, constitutionally minded, and, conservative on spending and liberal on freedom. And for those who do the Caleb Rowdens, the Schatz, Dave Schatz, and some of these others, Lincoln Huff, people like them, they need to be shown the door. Now, Schatz is running for U.S. Congress. He's going to fail. He's polling below other. And you know what that was from? That was from that stupid-ass gas tax that he decided to shove down our throats. That's the repercussions of crap legislation that he passed and ticked off a lot of people in the state after we voted it down at least 2 times on the ballots. And they still continued to shove it down our throat and said, well, we'll just be cutesy and we'll only do it at 2.5 cents a year for 5 years. And we'll skirt around the Hancock Amendment. Guys like him need to be shown the door. Plain and simple. Also, so this week I'm going to have Christine Thompson from, again, Show Me Can of Freedom. And then next week, I got to talk to a gentleman by the name of Dual Lauderdale. He is going to be running for state rep out of St. Charles County. He is helping with House Bill 2704. Really helping to push with that. He gave me his phone number. I texted him today. So tentatively, I will have him on not this Friday, but Friday, April 8th. And I will give him a chance to talk because he hasn't really started campaigning yet, but it's coming. And so I'm going to have him on to talk about his ideas, his thoughts on freedom in Missouri. And maybe this is another guy like Casey, like Robert. We get Duel's name out here, and get them, get his name out there, and let's make him popular with the people. Let's help him get known to his base, or to the people who would elect him or vote for him, and get him out there in the limelight and let people hear his message, because I'm sure he's freedom-oriented enough where the mainstream is not going to give him the time of day. And comments here, Bruce Sassman, yeah, he voted for the gas tax, which is why I'm highly considering next election cycle to run for state rep. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I have been seriously considering it, and I may do it if things keep going the way they are. But one thing they mentioned about House Bill 2704, that anybody that came in and had testimony against it were all the big companies who have the cultivation and the sites and the big and the chain stores for the marijuana dispensaries. They were the only ones testifying against that bill. Everybody else is small business people, people who need their, use marijuana for medical purposes, some law enforcement, things like this. They're all for it. The big money guys are the only up there who are testifying against it. Buddha Queen says Grant just announced HB 2118 and HB 1992 were placed on informal perfection calendar today. Outstanding. We're moving forward. We're moving forward. And like I said, folks, I'm a small fish in this game. I've been doing a podcast for a couple years. I've been trying to push the message out. That's my duty. We all have a voice, and this is how I use my voice. And now I'm teaming up with Patrick and Casey and some of these other people, and trying to build upon what I started, and help them, and trying to recruit good candidates that we can, again, get out in the public and push for them, things of that nature. So I'm just doing my small part, and we're all a small part. But one thing that I have heard many times, it doesn't take 1,000 phone calls to get these state reps to take heed and take notice that they're being watched, and then the way they vote is being watched. They're not, it doesn't take 1,000 phone calls. Sometimes it's literally 12 phone calls. And they're like, oh, they know. And I think more than 12 is way better. I think if you can literally cram their voicemail boxes full in the evening and then email them and blow up their email box, I think that's better. But it doesn't take half the state to get this done. It just takes enough people to call and get all that stuff done. And they take notice. And because I guarantee you what goes through their head is, oh, if I vote the wrong way, I could lose my position of power. And that's literally what it is. Okay, Aurora, does anyone know where HB 2009 stands? Now, I'm not sure what HB 2009 is, but let me look that bill up because I'm not sure what it is. Okay. Let me go back a page. And I'm sorry that I don't I don't have like all the text up here as I'm looking it up. Susie Pollock is the it says today was placed back on formal perfection calendar. And I listen, folks, I don't know all the ins and outs and what is all in there. Oh. Okay. Okay, this is shall not require immunizations against diseases that are not listed in this subsection. So shall promulgate rules and regulations governing immunization against poliomyelitis, rubella, or rubiola, mumps, tetanus, pertussis, diphtheria, and hepatitis B to be required of children attending only public schools, not private, parochial, or parish schools. Oh, that's right, Gunny, you're right. Make Missouri Great Again follows those types of bills. Let's see. And see what it's doing. Okay. It says it is unlawful for any student to attend public schools unless he or she has been immunized as required under the rules and regulations of the Department of Health and Senior Services and can provide satisfactory evidence of such immunization, or unless he or she can provide satisfactory evidence of acquired immunity. Now, I'm sure this goes towards like COVID and stuff. And so also they're going to they're also going to be allowing religious or conscientious belief objection. It says those may be written. It may be a written statement of the parent or guardian as long as the written statement includes the child's name and parent or guardian's name and signature. Each public school shall accept the written religious or conscientious belief objection as described under this subsection. So they're going to also allow parents to just say, I don't want my kids having this. And it's any of the poliomyelitis, rubella, rubiola, mumps, tetanus, pertussis, diphtheria, hep B, other. So there's a form that they will be able to fill out, and they will be exempt, and the school can't force them to get those vaccinations. Now, this is one of those touchy subjects because especially with COVID. There were so many people for the vaccination, so many people against it. And I was just like, you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. I don't care. I personally am not going to take it so I can get into, because I love hockey. I love hockey. I haven't been to a hockey game in a few years. I wanted to go, but I'm not getting a shot or getting a negative test to go to the game. They weren't getting my money this year. Now those rules are gone. For now. But those rules are gone. And now that they've relaxed them, I will go. But now those rules are done. But I think if, I think it should be the parent's choice and even a child's choice if they want to get a jab or not. It doesn't matter what type of, thing it is, what it's, if it's mumps or rubella or rubiola or hep B or whatever. I don't have a problem with them not, doing that, making their kid get a jab or something. I absolutely have no issue with that. I'm from a different school. But that is the freedom to choose what you put into your body. Because let's be honest, I would say a small percentage of people would not vaccinate their kids. Most people are still going to do it against most childhood diseases. They're still going to get their kids jabs for all those things. So it's not like 90% of the population is going to stop and there's going to be all those childhood diseases running around. I mean, we've seen out in California, they had an outbreak of, I think, the mumps a year or two ago, and people were freaking out. And come to find out, all the ones that did said they had been vaccinated for it. So, just saying. They had been jabbed for it, so, it is what it is. But those are some important bills, folks, that you need to keep an eye on, keep pressuring our state reps. So, again, 2704, 2118, 1992, and apparently House Bill 2009 are all ones that we can get behind because they all have to deal with, expanding freedom in the state of Missouri, and not just for adults, but for kids too. And that's something we should all be able to get behind. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down in just a minute. But again, I invite you all Friday evening about 6:30 p.m. I will be interviewing Christine Thompson from Show Me Can of Freedom. We will be discussing House Bill 2704 and some of the other things, the shady things that have been going on in the background that are trying to cut this off at the pass. And she will educate us on the bills, all the ins and outs, so I can learn, you all can learn. But again, I'm happy to see someone legalizing recreational marijuana here in Missouri, taking it off the drug schedule, not even considering it a drug anymore. And then the protections for those who want to buy firearms with a medical marijuana card. I think that's amazing, amazing stuff. And it's something that if we want to be more free, these are the type of things that we have to get behind. These are the types of things that we have to pressure our representatives to get behind. And again, if they don't want to support your freedom, if it's just 60% of the time they want to support it, but the other 40% won't, then we have to find reps who will. It's as simple as that. Again, so this week, Christine Thompson from Show Me Can of Freedom. And then next week, now this is tentative, of course, in case Duel gets has something come up. Duel Lauderdale will be on with me, and he is going to announce his campaign pretty soon, his candidacy for St. Charles County state rep. And I think you're going to like what he has to say as well. So with that, I bid you all adieu. Have a great night, and hope to see you all Friday for the next live stream. And then if you would have some questions ready for Christine, I would appreciate that. And we will discuss cannabis freedom here in Missouri. So good night, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you.